From episode 9 Into the Woods, is a fantastic enjoyable game-changing episode. From, has established itself at the very beginning as a show that has unshackled itself from predictable and limiting storylines, and episode 9 Into the Woods as a continuation of that tradition, leaving us the audience with profoundly more questions. By introducing totally new elements, it is constantly rekindling the magic of what is possible in this world. So, let's begin my review of Into the Woods. I would describe episode 9 as an introspection episode that examines the mental aspects of the various town residents. This episode masterfully illustrates, rightfully so, that humans are multi-level and far more dimensionally complicated than what we appear to be on the surface. In its own way, this episode shows that what may appear to be a struggle for some in this town may not be for others. In episode 9, we pick up with Boyd and Sarah exploring the woods for an exit. Their relationship is interesting to see, as Boyd tries to understand the potential powers at play when it comes to Sarah's sporadic violent actions. In the meantime, the people band together to find a way out of the town, by collectively constructing a radio tower on top of the colony home, giving some of the residents new hope. But for others, the attack of the creatures on the colony home that resulted in many losing their life is far too much for some to bear. One of those being Eric, who took his own life. It's during this moment I really have to praise Elizabeth Saunders, who plays Donna. Her acting is so good and personable. Donna is clearly one of the toughest original survivors, but the loss of Eric and the fall of her home has clearly hit her hard, as she starts to lose it and chops up the floor inside the house to vent her anger. She also starts to drink a lot. But it was her interaction with Kenny as he tries to comfort her in his own way that was truly remarkable. During their conversation, she warns him about what could possibly happen if the antenna doesn't work and how hope can quickly turn to despair. But it is what she said next that would really set the tone of what's happening in this town. He replied to her by saying, "Then what do we do? Nothing. Do we just stay and wait, let the creatures come every night?" And her response was unique. She said, "At least we know when the creatures will come, and who the creatures are." To me, this indicates that she may have become accustomed to this place. Later on, in a similar tone, Fatima says that she gotten used to this world in a conversation with Ellis. Back at the Matthews home, Tabitha has a strange dream, one that seems to have major implications in the overall plot of the show. I believe this is very important because they showed a lot of small but detailed things. Her dream starts off with her appearing to go up a medieval circular stairway. As she walks up, she hears a baby crying and a loud war horn in the background. The whole thing was mysteriously melodic and surreal. One of the funniest parts of this episode was dealing with Jade, of course. This time his interaction with Tien Chen Liu as he tries to figure out a way to power the antenna. He complains over and over about how smart he was, but it was her reaction when she told him to stop complaining, stop whining, which was funny, because as she's telling him this, she walks over toward a light switch and says, "If you need power, then turn on the lights," clicking off and on the lights. Jade's reaction was priceless, as if he had a monumental revelation, realizing that there was power all around them, it just needed to be harnessed. As the episode draws to a close, we focus back in on Boyd and Sarah as they continue their search of the woods. As they get to know each other a little bit better, Boyd realizes that she's more damaged mentally than anything else because of the town, and releases her from the handcuffs. As they explore, they hear a distant sound in the background, a sound of chimes, more specifically bottle chimes. But as they get closer, they see a whole line of bottles hanging from the trees. Sarah wonders if anyone else is out here. Boyd sees that there are pieces of paper inside each bottle. In order to read one of the notes, he tries to knock one of the bottles that are hanging up down. But Sarah has an adverse reaction to them. She starts to have convulsions, which sends her into a temporary coma. But as she wakes up in a tent that Boyd had set up with a protective talisman, she reveals to him what the voices told her, and what she tells him looks like it sends shivers up and down his spine, because she tells him that they shouldn't be out here, and the voices warn her that there are things out here that are far more dangerous than the creatures they know. As if right on cue, something hulkingly massive moves outside the tent, knocking over trees, and starts to shake the tent with Boyd and Sarah in it violently. The episode concludes with Boyd and Sarah looking at each other terrified. Quick side point: earlier in this episode, Ethan Matthews was telling his family about how in adventures there are all types of creatures that could be waiting out there for them to discover. Episode 9 was truly a terrific episode because it sets up further episodes and future seasons down the line. Judging from this episode, this town has just begun to reveal its secrets, and for us as the audience to discover them. New, more dangerous creatures have now been confirmed out there in the woods. We also see a bright light that passes over Sarah and Boyd. What does that mean? There's so much to unpack in this wonderfully mysterious show called From. And I look forward to seeing what episode 10, the last in the season, has in store for us. So, tell me what you think, guys, about this particular episode. Did you like it? Let me know below, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this review.